Want to make some delicious Swedish meatballs and gravy like this? Then watch this video. Hit that subscribe button, click the like button, and enjoy Swedish meatballs homemade. I looked over IKEA's recipe for Swedish meatballs. So I looked online, found another recipe for Swedish meatballs. We're going to try it out. Join me now as we make Swedish meatballs. Swedish meatballs, one of the ingredients it calls for panko, which is a Japanese style breadcrumb you can find in the Asian section. I don't have that, we don't have that. So my thought is we take the top of this loaf off here and we crush it, and then this will become the breadcrumbs for the Swedish meatballs. And then I remembered we have a food processor. That gives us what we need. 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs ground up. Heat 1 tablespoon olive oil in a large skillet over medium heat. So we'll put this Siemens stove down to 5+. Add onion and cook until onions have become transparent. 2 to 3 minutes is what it says. You can see how they're all white. We will make magic and make them transparent. I think what's going on, why we do this like this, is when you cook onions like this, they lose that bite to them. And obviously when you're eating Swedish meatballs, you're not going to want the sharp bite of a raw onion in there. So that's what this does. It also softens them up, because when they're cooked with the meat and stuff like that, they're not going to cook as easily as they do right now. Right now it's the best way to cook onions, is to cook them separately. And some of these are starting to brown. I don't think that's what they meant. So translucent is not going to be perfectly clear, but you can see they aren't solid white anymore. So I think this is probably going to be a good place to bring them out. So this is a recipe. It's in the description below. We are using half the amount they are. It calls for 2 pounds of beef and pork total. That's a little less than a kilogram. We have 500 grams total of ground beef and pork. So this pork, what we bought here is 60% beef and 40% pork pre-ground. Combine ground beef, ground pork, panko, egg yolk, onions, you could use your hands, you could use a spoon. Part of the fun of cooking is using whatever, getting your hands dirty, so to speak. Of course, make sure your hands are clean when you're preparing food. My egg yolk broke when I was trying to separate it from the white. In retrospect, I think we probably could have used more breadcrumbs. Also, it says you can season it, salt, pepper to taste. Throw some pepper in there. Some sea salt. We like garlic. I would actually add maybe closer to at least 1/3 cup of crumbs, if not more, because I want the meatballs to be soft. And one way to soften them is by having breadcrumbs in there. Let me make sure I've got everything in here. Next, we roll it into 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 inch meatballs. It says it forms 24. Of course, that's full recipe. This is a half recipe. So maybe we'll get, I think we're going to get more than 12 out of that. And of course, you can add your own spices and seasoning to it that you like. Make it your recipe. Add 1 more tablespoon of olive oil to the skillet. We've left it at medium temperature while we were making the meatballs. Add meatballs in batches, cook until all sides are browned, about 4 to 5 minutes. Transfer to a paper towel lined plate. There are 27 of them, so we'll put 13 in this one and 14 in the next. A lot more control when I use chopsticks. Now, IKEA Swedish meatballs are actually smaller than this. They won't fall apart. Maybe the onions should be even finer, more finely chopped. And even though I could have fit more in here, but I think the 12 or 13 in this skillet is perfect size to be able to handle, to work. I think more than that, you probably would be having your hands full. So they are going to be cooked another 8 to 10 minutes when we add in when we add them into the gravy. So we're going to go ahead and take them and put them on the plate now. All right, I think that's good for that. Making the gravy, add the butter to the skillet, 1/4 cup. So we're going to add that much. Whisk in flour until lightly brown, about a minute. Flour they're calling for 1/3 cup. No, I haven't done this before. Just trying to follow the directions. Then gradually whisk in beef broth and cook. It calls for 2 cups of beef broth. So I used a pre-made packet. Right? Wow. Never done this before, but it's freaking turning into gravy. So 1 to 2 minutes until thickened, it says. Almost got it all in there. Don't want to put it all in at once, as you can see. Now we will. Okay. Whisking constantly until slightly thickened, about 1 to 2 minutes. Stir in sour cream, seasoned with salt and butter to taste. Sour cream. It's asking for 3/4 of a cup. So I don't know, we'll do like a 1/4 cup or a little more. That's not until once it's thickened, we stir that in and then season with salt and pepper to taste. Right now it's a little runny. We can always add a little flour to make it thicker, but I don't think that's the way to do it because you're browning the flour when you first put it in there. So to put it in now is not good. I think it's easier to boil off the water. And it says slightly thickened, right? Plus the sour cream we're going to add is going to add to the thickness as well. We're just going to put a couple of these in there. I don't think I'm going to add any salt and pepper. I think I'm going to let that'll be one of those things that you just season to taste when you serve it. So the next step is to stir in the meatballs and cook until heated through and thickened about 8 to 10 minutes. So, wow, that looks nice. Looks like they want to run in there. And we're going to throw those onions that we had out set out, put those in there too. Now we didn't boil any potatoes, so we don't have mashed potatoes, which is kind of redonkulous. But we're not going to be able to eat this one setting, so the next time before we heat them up again, we will make sure we have mashed potatoes. That gravy looks good. Oh my God. 8 to 10 minutes, it's 12:51, so at 1300 we will serve lunch. I guess I could have homemade bread and meatballs, that'll work. Whew! That looks good! Oh my goodness, oh that looks good. Oh! Cut to table. How would you like to have Swedish meatballs and gravy like this? Oh my goodness, it just crumbles right. Put your fork into it. Mmm, mmm, mmm.